Hey kids, so we all know that no matter where we live, we're living under a government. Whether it's a government that allows us to make our own choices about our rulers and laws, one that governs our every move, or anywhere in between, there's always a structure of power in the world. But things don't always go according to plan. All governments have weaknesses, some more so than others. Democracies fall to dictators, some monarchs abuse their power. But in my opinion, one of the worst kinds of government is monarchy. Prime example, the Chinese dynasties. Some of the craziest Chinese dynasties came from the years 600 and 900. In the Chinese dynasties, this was a time of such political insecurity that it made Game of Thrones look like a recess at your local elementary school. The dynasties of this period started right around the year 581, during one of the times that China was divided. Then this one guy comes around and says, "Hey, let's try that whole emperor thing out again. Maybe this time it'll work. I'll take the first turn." So he starts up the Chinese monarchy again as emperor and starts a trove of programs in the empire. He made rice farming more efficient, started a stronger government that had different levels of power, and built a river. It was a big river called the Grand Canal, and ended up launching China into success due to the trade it supported. Then he decided that all the good stuff was just too much good, so he launched a war against the Koreans, which basically only served to piss the servants in the empire off so much they broke their own limbs so they wouldn't have to go to war. They stopped working for their emperor on farms as well, so with nothing left, the Sui dynasty just collapsed. Next up, about 4 years after the Sui collapse in 614 came the Tang dynasty. They ended up being some pretty successful people in one of the most developmental eras of Chinese history. Everything went oddly smooth for about 50 years until the year 665. This is when Wu Zetian, a concubine, basically like a mistress of the emperor Taizong, started to rise to power. As soon as Taizong died, she went right off to marry his son and heir. From there, she climbed her way up the grapevine that the Sui dynasty so selflessly provided to become an advisor to the emperor. After she had worked her way high enough, she went right up to the seat of the emperor and was like, "I like this. It's mine now. Bug off, Confucius." So for 15 years, Wu Zetian ruled the Chinese empire under her own self-proclaimed dynasty, the Zhou dynasty. After her death, the previous heir, not even trying that one. Emperor Double Z came back to the throne with his wife, Empress Y, who thought that the idea Wu Zetian had was awesome. So she too said that Confucius could piss off, and she took the throne over by allegedly poisoning her husband and killing him. However, her reign was short-lived, as Double Z's sister and nephew came and killed Y. Double Z's younger brother then held the throne, and the line of succession continued. This peace didn't last long, as another guy named An Lushan decided that he wanted to crack at this whole being emperor thing. So in 755, he said he was now emperor of northern China and established the Yan dynasty, leading to more disputes on the leader of the Chinese empire. However, this empire eventually imploded because of the instability of, its rulers. This all led up to the last great rulers of the Chinese dynasty, before the last rulers just kind of abused their power and also managed to influence yet another civilian revolt in the empire. Now, this was only one monarchy in the entire history of our world, and yet this is not the only time that people have just abused their power and made everything a terrible place for the common civilian to live. So this kind of just shows monarchies aren't fit to be viable forms of government, especially absolute monarchies. Putting the power on one person is like having an entire power grid for a neighborhood, then only plugging one house into it. Just doesn't make sense, and everyone else just gets pissed off and leaves. So that's it for monarchies today. Hopefully we get to do this again so I can mock more of history. Till next time.